Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, I'm doing another response video, and this time I am responding to J.Scott Garibay, who presented the idea that there are 10, and I may not go through all 10 of them, but he posited the idea that there are 10 tabletop role-playing games that you should stop playing immediately in 2024 in order to prepare yourself for running the newest edition, or whatever you want to call it, of Dungeons and Dragons, whether it's going to be a 5e expanded, 5e remastered, 6e, whatever they're ultimately going to call it. J.Scott Garibay likes to call it the Infinite Edition, as there are no other editions for the future and no other editions in its past. It is 5e Infinite, which I don't believe is actually going to be the case. But he goes out and basically says that, there's these top 10 games that you should stop playing. And I am not going to bury the lead too much here. So what I am going to say in answer to that, and I know that Scott does not follow my channel, and he blocked me on his channel, so he can see my comments on there. But for those of you that do go to his channel and do have some access there, and you also come to my channel, because we do have subscribers in common. I don't want to bury the lead in this, and so I am going to say that there are no tabletop RPGs that you should stop playing immediately in 2024, especially not to set them aside for the sole purpose of playing D&D 2024. Again, regardless of whatever it's ultimately going to be called. And the reason I say that is because it's always been my personal policy to encourage you to play multiple game systems from multiple companies across multiple genres and through multiple modalities, whether you're playing online or in person in your home, in person at the local library or the local gaming shop, and also in conventions as well. I have always been a supporter of the tabletop role-playing game hobby and encourage you to play and run what you enjoy doing so. And that's the bottom line. I think that's the healthiest thing to do for the hobby. That's how you make the entire hobby grow, is by introducing new players to a number of different systems. And I've made these comments on people's channels when they talk about their own experience as a game master, and they say, well, I have a hard time getting my players to play anything else but whatever they happen to be running. Usually it's but 5e. And this is my response to them almost uniformly. You need better players. All right? You just need to present them with what you're going to run. And if they walk away, they walk away. And if they tough it out because you're the only one that has stepped forward and is looking to game master, then that's fine too. And now you will start introducing them to other game systems. Really, really important. The second thing about Scott's video, where he's saying these are the top 10 games that you should not be running in 2024, is that he does not recognize the differences in genre. Why would I give up Call of Cthulhu for 5th edition revised? Two totally separate genres of gaming, two totally different systems, and just really a different focus and a different history and legacy of the games, separated from one another. You can enjoy running and playing in both. If you only have the time to run just one game and one game system, then run the game system that you enjoy most. It doesn't matter which one it is. If your players only have time to engage in one particular game system, all right, then you tell them, like, your time is your time, right? So I still may look to mix this up a little bit, but we will focus on one particular game system. But it doesn't have to be just 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. It could be, any game system that you as a group agree upon as being, well, this is going to be our primary. I still recommend that you expand on that and you mix it up a little bit. So, to J.Scott Garabay's, premise of, these are the games you should stop immediately. No, I completely disagree. And I think it is a detriment. The attitude is a detriment to the hobby as a whole. And it's, that game system is not going to be the game system for everyone. And it's not going to be the game system for every circumstance, for every use. It is not a game system meant for every single genre. Now, I was happy after listening through his whole top 10, which he started with Call of Cthulhu in one video, and then went through a whole bunch of other games, which, quite frankly, I either don't play or, have no real interest in, like a lot of the Powered by the Apocalypse games. He mentioned Candela Obscura and several others that, quite frankly, I don't really engage with those whatsoever. Others he mentioned was Index Card RPG, which is actually a great system, and it's a great system, which he acknowledges that it's a great system. So if he acknowledges that it's a great system, then why should you immediately stop playing it just to play 5e? So it makes no sense to make that argument. My next stop that I'm going to delve into here, and I know that if J.Scott Garibay ever hears what I'm about to say, he's not going to agree with it, and it's just the furthest thing from his understanding. The one game he should have mentioned, if he was going to mention any game, and this would be my top one game that you should stop playing immediately in 2024, from the perspective of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, is D&D 5th edition. If you look at everything that they had done collectively, I'm going to call them Wizbro just to make it just to make it easier. Wizbro, everything that they had done in 2023 was geared towards moving the player base of 5e away from 5e and to their virtual tabletop this year in 2024. And it still remains to be seen if it does actually come out this year. Now, yes, they are producing hardback of the new D&D 5e 2024, but based on the play testing and based on what everyone who analyzed the system changes from 2014 to this 2024 version of 5th edition, no player in their right mind would create a character using the Player's Handbook of 2014 to play in the new edition, and I'm going to call it an edition, the new edition of 5e. Their characters will be grossly underpowered in comparison to the advantages that they would have from the new edition of 5e. So the one game system that Wizbro wants people to stop playing immediately in 2024 is D&D 5th edition. All right. Don't get confused by the fact that they haven't honestly and accurately labeled D&D 2024. They still try to, pull the wool over your eyes and say that, oh, it's still 5e. It is not. And they don't want you playing 5e anymore. And this is what I base that, opinion on. You can disagree with me all you like, but I think that the steps that they had taken in 2020, late 2022, early 2023, beginning with the OGL crisis and beginning with the statements of Cynthia Williams, the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, was that she felt that, and still feels, that Dungeons and Dragons is grossly unmonetized. All right, it is just not hitting the monetization that she feels the IP is, should be at. She also stated that the whole idea behind a physical hardback TTRPG is counter to monetization, to maximum monetization. So only the dungeon masters actually spend any money on any of the product, and everybody else gets a pass. That's kind of paraphrasing what she was saying, and so she, coming from Microsoft and coming from esports and subscription based and microtransactions and everything, they want the bulk. They know that they're going to lose some, but they want the bulk of the 5e player base to move to the subscription based, microtransaction based model that is going to be D&D Beyond, VTT, and whatever they're going to end up calling that. I said back when the OGL 1.1 debacle first became discovered, so that would be back in January of 2023, I had said at that time, Wizbro is not attacking the third-party creators here. They really weren't. They were doing a scorched earth policy against the 5e player base. And this is why many of the 5e content creators on YouTube pushed back on that. All right, because they understood that this is just being used to try to force as many players of 5e to shift to the new system and to buy into the new system. They will not buy into a new system if they still have their old physical books and there are third-party creators feeding them more frequent and better content than what was coming out of Wizards of the Coast. And so the one game system, J.Scott Garibay, that Wizbro does not want players to be playing in 2024 if and when they release their VTT is 2014 era 5e. They would love to have some of them come over in, but they know they're not going to get a majority to transition. And they don't care if a majority doesn't transition. They only need a small portion in order to make more money off of subscriptions and microtransactions than they were from the 5e 2014 core group or base of the player base. So this is the true nature of where the future of Dungeons and Dragons is going. The future of it is going to be digital. The future of it is going to be subscription-based and microtransactions. And they honestly couldn't care less about the physical hardbacks. Yes, they're going to produce them. They're going to put them out there. It will probably be the last time that they ever do it, unless the VTT completely fails. All right, and even then, they had until, and this is according to their own statements, all right, they had until 2027 for Dungeons and Dragons by itself, not including Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons by itself to meet the $1 billion mark of monetization on an annual basis, the $1 billion mark. All right, and it is nowhere near close with the current physical content that they have. And they know that. It only got a big boost this past year from the licensing agreement that they had with Larian Studios that made Baldur's Gate 3. All right, and that was virtually unassociated with Wizards of the Coast beyond the licensing agreement. And the only person that I believe actually worked with them and tried to guide them, at least in some of the game mechanics, was Mike Mearls, who Wizards of the Coast fired just this past December. So, so the only real content and the only really advisory contact that they had with Larian Studios, they've decided to cut loose anyway. So, and that's because Mike Mearls can't contribute to what they're looking to do as far as subscription-based microtransactions and that kind of thing. It's just not his area of expertise. So, going back to this idea of what RPGs should you stop playing immediately in 2024, my opinion, you should play as many as you wish to play. Play across different genres, play across different companies, play across different gaming groups that you're in, and across different modes. All right, play in person, play online, play at conventions, and so on and so forth. Run games and play games. So try to expand that experience for yourself as well. And bottom line is that I think everyone in this hobby should be inclusive of the point of saying, I want you to play everything. Play whatever you enjoy playing. Run what you want to run. And you will always find players, no matter what you're running. You will always be able to find players, especially if you're running online. It's very, very simple. You just put something out there, and as soon as you get 2 or 3 players, you're ready to go. Will you get a massive group? Maybe not. But you will find a group to run virtually any game that I can think of. That I don't know any game where everyone will reject playing it. All right, and that's the point I want to make here. That is my response to J.Scott Garibay. I believe that you are wrong in saying that these are games that you should immediately stop playing. It doesn't help the hobby. It doesn't help 5e because number one, 5e is the game system that Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast most want players to stop playing. Uh, they really don't care about the third party. They don't care about the OSR. They don't care about the indie games or anything like that. They only care about monetizing their VTT. And you as a game master who is frequently talking about other game systems, you shouldn't be limiting yourself to just one game system either, because you're going to have a hard time or a harder time uh, convincing people to play something that is exclusively found on a subscription and on a subscription based and probably a microtransaction based system as well. Um, Look at the fact that they do not print any of their products in PDF. Everything is digital. You do not own what you think you do in a digital format on those servers. So D&D Beyond, and this is being tested out in the video game sphere, right? They're basically, some of the big studios have already come out and they've pushed this idea that just because you purchased it doesn't mean that you own it. All right, we can shut it down and take it off of, take it out of your library. And I guarantee you, Hasbro has the same view of what you have on D&D Beyond. That belongs to them. You are renting it when you've paid for it. You do not own that product. They can alter it without your permission, and they can remove it without your permission. All right, so if you have hardcovers, of older games, including 5e, I would hold on to those things and cherish them, because you can still play any of those games that you have physical control over for the rest of your life if you choose to. And don't let anyone tell you what you need to stop playing immediately. You play what you love. You play what your players want to, want to come in, together, every week. And as always, play as often as you can, play as diverse as you can, and play in multiple settings. And your experience within the hobby will be a benefit of that going forward. So thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to comment, please feel free to comment in there. Hey, J.Scott Garibay, if you want to comment on, because I don't have you blocked on my channel, so you can certainly comment on my channel and disagree, complain, do whatever you want to do. But I think that you would better serve your subscribers if you're telling them to participate in the hobby rather than to disregard other game systems that they might enjoy to play in just one game system. So, as always, thanks for joining. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a convention or live table sometime soon. You all have a great rest of your day. Take care.